What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? So I wanted to make a video about the squad, about the team, and why I personally don't think that we need to necessarily do any signings. Which is probably a very controversial opinion to hold, because obviously we are looking to lose a few players this season. Now, this is the first team from the official Bayern website, but the official Bayern website is wrong. For starters, it's wrong. All right, the reason why it's wrong is, if you can tell, first of all, there is, in our defense, there is no Odriozola. Which would make you believe, oh well, it's an updated one. All the players that I have left, aka Odriozola, are no longer in here. But then you see Philippe Coutinho, and it's like, okay, there's just something wrong. They probably just did this very early last season, and they haven't updated this at all. Okay, so that's the first thing, right? And obviously no Sané as well. So that's the key thing here, right? This is wrong, but my point still stands. So let me say my point, all right? Let me get my point across. So, keeper, we're not in for a keeper. The two positions that we're in are right back, as well as potentially a midfielder or two. That's really what we're in for. Some may say, all right, another winger. I want to get into everything. I want to get into it all a little bit slower. All right. I might have to ultimately cut this video and redo it again. Not redo it, but add things to it. But you'll see. So defender-wise, I think centre-backs, we're obviously A-OK. We have Süle, we have Pavard, Boateng, Hernandez, Alaba, who can obviously play as centre-back, Joshua Kimmich, who played as centre-back a long time ago, and obviously Mai, who plays as centre-back. I was just thinking, has he left us? I can't remember there being a rumour that, or there being a transfer that he's left us. So he's in the team, obviously, as well. So we have a bunch of centre-backs. Now, in terms of left-backs, we obviously have Alaba, and he's not here. He is here, Alphonso Davies. I wanted to go back up. Obviously, Javi could play centre back as well, but he's rumoured to leave as well this season. So, in terms of left back, we have Alaba and Javi and Lucas Hernandez. So we've got three players. Sorry, not Alaba and Davies and Lucas Hernandez. My Davies shirt actually arrived. So I thank you all for those guys that voted, by the way. Because I recently put the post up, whose shirt should I get? Should I get Davis's shirt, or should I get, I think it was Thiago's shirt? Most of y'all voted for Davies, so I got myself a Davies shirt that just arrived yesterday, so that's up to you. That's thanks to you lot. But yeah, left back, we're stacked. Centre back, we're stacked. Now, right back, we've got Pavard and Kimmich. For left back, we're three players. For right back, we only have two. I don't think that's a bad thing. Pavard was out for a whole season, alright? I get that. He's not an injury-prone player, though. He was just out for a significant chunk of the latter stages of the season. But realistically, you have two of the best right-backs in world football. You can't go wrong with that. And I know people would want a younger right-back to come in. My thought with that is, if a younger right-back comes in, he gets no game time. Ultimately, he gets no game time. Pavard plays if he's fit, and if he's not fit, Kimmich plays. Where's a young right back gonna play? That kind of opinion. So, right back, Kimmich for me moves back into midfield and can obviously fit in as a right back. I want to get into youth later. Right? Because we'll get into that later, right? But for now, we have two right backs, which I don't think is a bad. I don't think that's... People are saying it's the end of the world. They want death, so on and so forth. For me, it's just we're stacked. If a young right back comes in, we're stacked. We're stacked enough, right? To me, there is just no need. A season, yes, obviously, this season, it's going to be quite fast-paced, but I also think that's also going to help us very much. It being so fast-paced means that there's going to be plenty of breaks as well. So we're going to play, a big chunk of games in the next 2-3 months, and it's going to be the winter break. Then, we're going to play a big chunk of games as well. Then our season is going to be over. And then the Champions League continues. Obviously, we don't know how the schedule exactly goes, but for me, it's just one of those situations where it's we don't necessarily need anyone for right back. Because Kimmich can move into midfield, and Kimmich can ultimately move back into right back, and Boateng could also play as a right back. He has played right back for Manchester City. I think that was his original position in 2010. I know it's been a long time, but that was his original position in 2010, I believe. Right back, was it left back? Right back. I think it was right back. So Boateng could fill in as a right back as well. If it really boils down to it. So we have options. That's what I'm saying. We have two starting right backs, like if we call it, in Pavard and Kimmich, and we have one that can fill in for a bit in Boateng. Now, in terms of midfielders, Thiago's most likely going to leave. Let's not kid ourselves, Thiago is most likely going to leave. Javi is most likely going to leave. Coutinho obviously left already. So, essentially, these three players here, you can't count on because they're most likely going to leave. Which leaves us with Croissants, Tolisso, Goretzka, and Kimmich. Now, yeah, okay, just making sure that that's right. Yeah, so we're going to have, last season, 2019-2020, we had 1, 2, 3, 4, I don't know what, I wouldn't put Coutinho here. Coutinho usually plays, further forward, but in terms of like 4-2-3-1, the 2 at the back, 2 at the back. There's no Goretzka here, I just realized. No, Goretzka's there. Alright. Coutinho shouldn't be here, first of all. But we're going to lose 2 players, alright? 2 players that are starting there. Croissants is going to have a much bigger role, I feel like. He's going to have a significantly bigger role in the squad. Davies shouldn't be here. But, like, if you take Kimmich slots in for Thiago, essentially. And Javi basically didn't really play much this season, which is a shame in my opinion. It's a shame, but he really didn't play much this season. And then you have Croissant, who I think is going to have a much brighter season this season. He's going to get a lot more game time this season. He has played further back and he has played further forward as well. So he's kind of quite versatile, very similar to Thiago in that regard. That they're quite versatile. Coutinho as well. Obviously, he played a few games further back, but predominantly he played either on a wing or a number 10 role. So I wouldn't really include him. Tolisso has gotten a few injuries, but he is seemingly fit now, so he will be playing, and Goretzka has been basically a starter. My starting pair for next season in midfield will probably be Kimmich as well as Goretzka. Now, another name that is not on here is Kwasi, who he signed, obviously, who fills in as a centre-back, and I believe can play left back as well. But I know he plays as a centre-back, and he also played in midfield a bit for PSG. So he'll be a midfielder that can slot in. If Thiago goes, Kimmich comes. I mean, Kimmich is a midfielder anyway, but Kimmich comes for Thiago. Basically, just imagine that picture right there being Kimmich instead of Thiago, alright? For Javi, just imagine that picture right there being Kouassi instead of Javi. And then Coutinho really didn't play that deep, but yeah, Croissants. Just imagine Croissants taking his spot, and Tolisso, who was injured, taking his spot. Davis really shouldn't be here, but hey. He should be here in defense. So people forget Kwasi and obviously Croissants. Croissants are going to get a lot of game time. I feel like last season how we needed to get it. I would say let's have a quick look. Croissants transfer. Let's have a quick look. Stats current season. So Croissants got 9 games last season, which is not bad at all. You can see his position on average position. Like I remember him playing, I think 2 games where he actually started, where he played deeper, but he also has played, I don't know, 6 games. I can just remember 2 games of him in central midfield. Attacking midfield, I'll probably put that like here, just kind of confusing honestly. But attacking midfield, he has come in a few times, latter stages of the game. But he's had 9 games so far in the Bundesliga and scored 1 goal, assisted 1, 302 minutes, which is not bad considering our stat midfield, of course. And then the DFB Pokal had 1 appearance, 9 minutes, not that much honestly, but hey, in total had 15. I mean, I don't want to include third Liga, which is the second Bayern team, where he had 5 appearances and 2 goals. I wouldn't personally include that, so I would say he's had 10 appearances essentially last season. 9 in the Bundesliga and 1 in the DFB Pokal. You look at his minutes as well. He had 11 minutes here, 19 minutes there, and then he was on the bench, groin injury, and then on the bench with the second team on the bench. I mean, this was right around the time where Hansi Flick came in. Obviously, Hansi Flick, brought Müller back into the fold, which is why Croissants had a few minutes early on, and then kind of like went on the bench. Groin injury, then went back on the bench. I think that was the last game that Hansi Flick had. So you could tell that already he started being on the bench after, before and after his groin injury. He had 90 minutes here, 11 minutes there, so on and so forth. But then essentially when Hansi Flick took over, he was on the bench twice, was with the second team, then on the bench again, and then had an injury. And where 7 minutes here, on the bench, on the bench, on the bench. 1 minute. That's a bit sad, honestly. 1 minute, 5 minutes, 45 minutes. He played 45 minutes against Düsseldorf, which we won 5-0, and then wasn't in the squad against Leverkusen. 62 minutes against Gladbach, which is a significant check, which I think is good for him. Very good as an attacking fielder. Yep, on the bench. And then the last 2 games of the season, he played, against Wolfsburg, he played 90 minutes, and against Freiburg, he played 64 minutes. Now you could say, oh, well, those are dead games. We at that point we were already champions. Those are dead games, so on and so forth. But I think ultimately he was actually, in my opinion, that kind of shows that he has been getting minutes. Like last stages of the season, he there's a significant chunk where he was on the bench, but then he had 1 minute here, not that great. 5 minutes here, not bad. 45 minutes here, a full half. 62 minutes here, well, that's pretty decent. 64 minutes here, and then 90 minutes. So his minutes have been going up, and I feel like if he's going to work hard, then his minutes are going to go up as well. So Cousins, I feel like he's a little bit underrated. I feel like he's going to get a lot more game time. I can't say his name, granted, but I think he's going to get a lot more game time in the coming season, in the 2020-21 season. Especially with Thiago not in the squad as well. That really opens up a real battle between Tolisso, Cousins, and Kouassi for like that third midfielder role. And I think out of those, obviously Tolisso is ahead. He is our third midfielder, or our second midfielder. The battle between him and Goretzka is going to be very interesting. Goretzka obviously offers more in terms of just on-field play, but Tolisso offers more of a goal threat. And Cousins, I think he's gonna get his minutes. That's my point. He's gonna get his minutes, in my opinion, in my honest opinion. It's just how many minutes. Is that going to be enough for him? My prediction is, just looking at last season again, he had roughly 10 participants. My prediction is that he's going to get about 20. I'm not saying he's going to start 20 games, but he's going to get around 20 games, give or take. That's my prediction, that he's going to get about 20 games that he's going to play, about 20 games. Now, Kouassi, obviously another name that I mentioned. Let's have a look at his stats for PSG. But obviously we bought him. We bought him predominantly. I think that's how you spell it now. Tanguy. There we go. We predominantly bought him, I feel like, for centre back. But he is 18, very young, but it already has first team minutes with PSG, so that's very nice. In terms of PSG, I really care about last season. You can see here, centre back he played 9 games. Defensive midfielder he played 6 games. So it's not, he's been switching between those 2 positions quite frequently, which is good. Which I think is very good. In terms of good stats for centre back, he played 9 games, had 3 goals and 2 assists, which is very nice. And in defensive midfield, he played 6 games and had 1 assist, which is also very, very nice. Now, Champions League, he had 2 games for PSG, which tells you a lot. 75 minutes, that's not bad at all for a team as PSG, with his age. League One, he played 6 games, a total of 451 minutes, which 6 times 90 would be 450. So did he start 6 games? Am I getting something wrong? Did he start 6 games? There's no way. And he played 90 minutes in the Coupe de France as well. 90 minutes in 3 games. So Champions League, he did that, not quite. He played not quite a full game yet, like in terms of minutes, not quite a full games. But like he played 3 games for PSG in the Coupe de France, and he played them from minute 1 to minute 90. And he played, and PSG won that cup, by the way. They last season they won everything except the Champions League. But like in terms of League One, Why is that 51 though? Like extra time? 6 times 90, 6 times 90, 6 times 90, 550. No, I was wrong with my maths. I was thinking of I was thinking 5 times 90, if that would be 450. But no, he played just, roughly 5 games for PSG. Like 5 times 90, roughly 5 full games for PSG, which is very, very nice. Which just shows you, like, he was probably, is there a way to see it? He was probably, like, eased in, actually probably detailed. Yeah, so you can see that definitely at the latter stages of the season, he played 65 minutes, then he played 90. So he had 3 times where he played 90 minutes. He played as a defensive midfielder, which is exactly what I'm saying. He can play it slot in midfield. I know he's young, but I think he's good. I watched a bit of him, but that was predominantly, in the League 1, so I can't really judge him that well, because PSG is a dominant team. So, of course, he'd look very good there, so I don't actually know how he would play against, say, in a Champions League for us. That's the comparison I could make. But that's whatever. That's whatever. I've watched him not live. That's the funny thing. I didn't watch him live. I watched him when I was like doing an analysis on PSG on how like they play. When we faced them in the Champions League final, I was like looking through like multiple of their games, predominantly the last few games that they had, because that's the one that are on the website, not the earlier ones, because those get taken down right away. So that's kind of how I watched a few games of his, which is why there was no video of me like talking about his transfer, because I didn't really know anything about him until recently. But defensive midfielder played 65 minutes. Defensive midfielder played 90 minutes. Got a yellow in the 68, but played 90 minutes. Then as a centre back, played 45 minutes against Lille, which is a strong team, of course. Played centre back for 90 minutes. 90 minutes, 72 minutes. Just shows you, he had 2 goals in that game as a centre back, which is impressive. And then 4-4 draw, which, yeah, he scored 2 goals, but like he was a centre back and he's conceded 4. That kind of makes you wary, I guess. That kind of makes you wary, I guess. In the other games, they kept a clean sheet against Montpellier. They kept a clean sheet against against Lille. They also kept a clean sheet, so that's very impressive. But that's just the way I'm looking at it. I think he's gonna get. People don't really have him on the radar because he's so young that people are like, is he really gonna get that game time? I think he will as well. In both centre back as well as in midfield. So I don't necessarily think we need someone in midfield necessarily. Like I feel like we're gonna trust the youth a lot. Let me just quickly do something. Let me just move this to the side. Turn that off. Let me just quickly find something. Torben Ryan is not. I was looking through. Doesn't matter. I was looking through some like youth players in here and there from ours, seeing who was doing well last season. Torben Ryan, of course. Let me actually show you his stats. I guess there's nothing wrong with showing it, I guess, but it doesn't really fit the point I was trying to make. Torben Ryan doing pretty well. 24 games for the under 17 in the under 17 and scored 12 goals and 4 assists. Under 19 played 15 games, scored 4 and had 6 assists. Obviously the minutes were fantastic as well. But he is a little bit too young and too inexperienced, but he's certainly one to keep an eye out. But he's 17 years old. Stats with those for 17 years old, playing for the under 19 now. For the third Liga as well, obviously just about. But he's gonna get his minutes. But he's not the player that I was thinking of. We have a bit of. Hope I still have that all saved. I don't, which is a shame. Never mind. Again. I had a few things saved, but those are not there anymore. But in terms of players that we can we can have in the team, I'll bring up. In terms of players that we have in the team, Musiala isn't gonna play. He's not really gonna play. There he is. Why didn't he show up just then? I don't know. Musiala for wing, attack midfield and centre forward. I'll probably put him on the wing, honestly, but still. He isn't really going to get game time this season, maybe next season. But like the 2020-2021 season, his stats are nice as well. Third Liga, 8 games, scored twice. Bundesliga had 1 appearance for us, which was 2 minutes. It's not tremendous. If anyone is really going to get game time, I feel like it's going to be, first of all, Zirkzee, of course. who had a bunch of minutes last season, which I think he's gonna get even more this season. Lewandowski's not getting any younger. I know Lewandowski really doesn't get injured, but like Zirkzee is gonna get, he's 19 years old, but he proved last season that when it mattered, he could come on, and he played a few minutes at the end of a game, but he also came on and played, and started games. That's how much Hansi Flick trusted him. So just from that perspective, had 9 games last season, which is very good. Scored 4 goals, which is very good. Assisted 1, which is very good. In third Liga, it didn't really work all out that well, but he was with the first team predominantly, so that's fine. And had 1 Champions League appearance, which was only for 4 minutes, but yeah. Look at this, 1 minute here, ha 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 ha, 7 minutes here, ha 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 ha, 3 minutes, and then played 90 minutes against Hoffenheim. Played full 90 minutes again in a 6-0 victory that we had. Scored 1, assisted 1. That's impressive. Like, that's impressive, Scored 1, assisted 1, played 90 minutes, then played 70 minutes, and you could tell. Like, every 2 games, you could say, the last 3 games, the last 4 games, kind of dead games, so on and so forth. But it's impressive. It's impressive. At the end of the day, it's still impressive that he's getting 26 minutes here, 77 minutes here, 15 minutes here, 5 minutes there. I think it's very. I think Zirkzee is gonna have a good next season. He had, I think 9 appearances. If you count the DFB Pokal, he had 11, and the Champions League he had 12 appearances. I think the first senior team, that's what I'm talking about, of course. I think those numbers are only going to go up. I think 20 appearances in all competition is what he's going to get at. Similar vein as Croissants. I feel like they're both going to get roughly 20 appearances here and there. They're not necessarily going to be our first substitutions, but they are going to be a substitution. But yeah, that's my thought. Now let's get rid of that again. Hi. Let's get back to the squad. Hi. And let's bring that back up. Now that's midfield. This is actually why I don't think we need a midfielder necessarily. We have youth. We have Kouassi coming in. We have Croissants who's going to get more minutes. Yes, they're not maybe the established players that people would want, but I think they proved themselves last season that when they came in, they weren't terrible. They weren't the best midfielders, in case of Croissants. They weren't the best midfielder ever, but he came in and he played decent. It wasn't bad. So I think what he needs right now is obviously to get a few more minutes, and I feel like he's going to be one of those players that's going to develop quite nicely at Bayern. And he's only like 4 years younger than Goretzka. Goretzka is only 1 year younger than me. Damn, I feel old. In terms of our attacking force, I think our attacking force, we are pretty solidly stacked. Striker, Lewandowski, of course. And then obviously Zirkzee and Arp. Zirkzee, I would say, is most certainly ahead of Arp right now. But like we have Lewandowski, Arp, Zirkzee. Lewandowski, and then you go to Zirkzee. It's not a bad. People say it's a downgrade. Yes, it is. Okay, every striker would be a downgrade to Lewandowski. But it's not necessarily a massive. It's not a bad downgrade. Like Zirkzee is going to get into a position he's going to score the goals, as he's proven last season when he scored the crucial last minute winner goal. And Arp really hasn't really proved himself with the first team, but like he's a big talent as well. Apparently, I didn't watch him. I'll be honest, I haven't watched Arp at all. But yeah, Arp can get minutes as well. So both of them can get minutes. Then for the wings itself, I mean, you have Müller, obviously number 10 role, where you can also have also Gnabry can slot in as a striker as well in emergency cases. But like you have Müller, number 10 role, where you could also have Goretzka. He's played there as well. Croissants obviously played a few games there last season, and I feel Tolisso could also honestly play there as well. Leroy Sané can also play there as well. So like that role and Müller rarely gets injured as well. So that role we're also safe. And then for the wings, we've got Coman, we've got Gnabry, and we've got Sané. Instead of Perisic, I guess we've got Sané. That's a position where we probably need a signing or two, but a name that people are forgetting is Alphonso Davies. I know he's been playing, as left back for us, but his original position is left winger, well, left and right winger, I guess you should say. So he has experience on the wings, and we've seen with his crossing how good his crossings actually are. So I think he would be the fourth winger that we have, like Gnabry, Coman, Sané, and Davies. I couldn't think of. I don't know why I can't think of his name today. But like those would be the four wingers. IMO. And obviously then we have a few youth product teams that could potentially be brought up as well. But Coleman is injury prone. Let's not kid ourselves. He's injury prone. All right. Gnabry has had a few injuries, but like he's not. I wouldn't call him injury prone, like long injury prone. Maybe like a week out, 2 weeks out, but like nothing serious essentially. So we have Gnabry as well. Sané obviously just came back from a long injury. Would I call him injury prone though? Not necessarily. So we have two players who I wouldn't call injury prone in Gnabry and Sané. Maybe they do get injuries, but not necessarily. I wouldn't call him prone like the way Coman is. And then we have Davies, who hasn't gotten injured at Bayern so far. So I wouldn't call him this season. So I wouldn't call him injury prone either. So would I personally want another winger? I don't think we need to necessarily buy one. If we could loan one, I'd be all down for it. But like, are we gonna? I don't think so at this stage of the game. And I think Davies could do a fantastic job up there. Now ZXC, he's not really a winger. He's not really a winger, right? You could maybe say Sape Singh. He could do a decent job. He's had a few minutes with the first team so far. Has he left? He was on loan, right? Like he returned, or did he actually like leave? I know he was on loan, but did he leave? It shows you how little I actually keep up with the second team. I used to keep up with a lot. I used to keep up with a lot more, but then I just kind of stopped. I just kind of stopped keeping up with it, and since then I just haven't really looked. Yeah, he's Nuremberg. Okay. No, actually, no, he was on loan. Okay, and he's back now. All right, cool. So we loaned him out to Nuremberg, and then now he's back. Cool. How did he do at Nuremberg? That's actually very interesting. Well, that was last season. Yeah, that's what it was. All right, that's why I was like, his loan is over, right? He came back. I knew that much, but I didn't know whether we sold him after that. In terms of minutes for, if it loads, there we go. These are all numbers for. I can't find his numbers for Nuremberg specifically. That was last season, was it not? Oh. I see. I see. Never mind. He's been loaned out. Okay. Well, in that case, never mind. Never mind. Well, he's not going to play a role for us this season, but I do feel he's going to have a role regardless. Just from the stat point, like he's a stat merchant. That's really what he is. He's a stat merchant. Like I've seen him play a bit when I used to keep up a little bit more with the youth, not so much nowadays. Like the last 2 seasons, not so much really. But like when I used to keep up a little bit more, he's a stat merchant. You just look at his stats: 22 games for the second team for the third liga. In the third liga, 22 games, 7 goals, 7 assists. That's good. I would consider that good. I would consider that very, very good. Obviously, hasn't replicated that for the first team, but it is what it is. Now that I know that he's loaned out, well, buy a winger. Loan one out if you have to. It doesn't have to be the best winger in the world. You know, if you get Perisic, I'm all for Perisic. I know he's a bit expensive, but Rummenigge is a big fan of him. Flick is a big fan of him. I'm a big fan of him. If Perisic understands that he can, he doesn't need to necessarily start. So for me, it's like, yeah, great. If we can keep Perisic, I'm all for it, honestly. And if we keep Perisic, Gnabry, Coman, and Sané as well as Zirkzee, we'll be fine. We'll be fine straight up. Who would have known that Davies would have been this fantastic this season? He can move up forward as well. He can move up forward as well and play as a winger. So from that perspective, I don't necessarily think that we need to necessarily buy a player. The only position that I think we might be a little bit weak is not even the right back position. I think we're fine on right back. Probably be midfield. And that depends on how much you trust Croissants. If you trust him a lot, then you probably won't want a midfielder. If you don't trust him a lot, then you probably would want a midfielder. Personally, I'm on the camp where he hasn't lit the world on fire, granted, but he hasn't been bad. He hasn't been bad, and from that perspective, I'm just like, yeah, you know what? I'd play him. I'd play him. I'd play him. I'd play him. I would. I most certainly would. And that's just what I would do. Obviously, Kwasi depends how he obviously slots in as well. We have two players that, if you trust them enough, they could have a serious spot in a team. But if you don't trust them enough, then you're gonna buy another midfielder. That's really what it boils down to. So if you want to trust them, then sure, go ahead. If you don't want to trust them, then don't. If Hansi Flick trusts them, then we'll be fine. If he doesn't, then it is what it is. But that's just my take, though. The reason why I made this video is because I know people are saying that we need to sign. We haven't really signed in these two key positions. The two key positions as a right back and a replacement for Thiago, with obviously us being linked to Brozovic. And I've heard people say that as well, that if we don't get Perisic, we need to get another winger. And I actually agree with the last one. Having looked at the players right now, that if you don't get a replacement for Perisic, if we don't get Perisic, we need to get a replacement for him, which I am actually now on board with. But in the grand scheme of things, I don't think we need to necessarily do massive signings. I think we're actually doing a pretty good job. We have a pretty good squad that is relatively young. Mostly with key players that are a little bit older in terms of Manuel Neuer. That picture does not do Frichtl any justice. He does not look 20, and in that picture, he looks like he's 30 years old. Like Neuer looks like he's younger than Frichtl, honestly. That's a terrible picture. But yeah, we in terms of like older players, we obviously have Neuer, but Neuer is a keeper, he can go on for whatever. Boateng, relatively old as well, but he's gonna be. I think he's not gonna really put up a fuss with like being playing as not a main centre back. So that's fine. Javi, who obviously wants to leave, if the rumors are true. And then Lewandowski really is, Lewandowski and Müller really are, and Perisic, those three, if Perisic stays, of course, those three really are our older players, but like, that's fine. Lewandowski, he just had his best season. Müller, I would say, has had probably his second best season, and Perisic was fantastic as well, so I'm okay with the way the squad is. If we keep Perisic, I don't think we need to make any signings, to be completely honest. But if we don't keep him, then maybe we could do 1 to 3 signings. Let me know what you all think. I actually wanted. This was supposed to be like originally just a player like to watch out for in the next 2-3 years, like players that could make it into the Bayern squad from the youth team, which always going for youth team. In the next 2-3 years. Not that I've seen them necessarily, not myself. A few of them I have seen, but like again, I started watching the youth team like 2 years ago, just because it became difficult to keep up with everything. The YouTube channel, the Bayern Liga, and then the third league doesn't really upload highlights as much anymore as they used to back in the day. The YouTube channel itself. So I was like, okay, okay. If I can't really keep up like that, I'm only gonna watch like the games in the youth league, the Europa Youth League, and that's really gonna be it. And the Europa Youth Champions League, that's really going to be it. So I'm not really going to keep up with like the much younger players, like that, the 14, 15, 16-year-old. I'm just going to keep up with the ones that are in FC Bayern 2. And that's really it. So in terms of like breakthrough players of the new season or so, Zirkzee, I know he's already had a few minutes last season, but I think him and App are really going to try and make a name for himself. Kwasi is going to also come in. Croissant is also going to come in. And we've all thought he would make a bid for like the starting squad for the last 2 seasons. Hasn't really worked out for him. I feel like a case of Gaudino here, where like he gets a few minutes every season, but like he never really gets more than that. And I think that's kind of the case with Maya as well. He hasn't had any minutes this season. Is he still a Bayern, honestly? Because he hasn't had any minutes this season. So it's like, bro, like come on, we can at least give him a few minutes here. But centre backs, we're just stacked. We're just actually stacked. But that's my thoughts, ladies and gentlemen. Let me know. It's kind of like a weird video, honestly. Usually my videos are a lot more just focused on what I talk, because I kind of just talk. So I don't really have like a structure. But like this one was just kind of all over the place, honestly. But whatever. I'll see you all in the next video, everyone. Until then, have a nice day. Peace out and